Public diplomacy is an amazing tool to reach out to the American public, and I think we have a fantastic platform here in the House of Sweden to do that. It's a wonderful building, a transparent building, showing Sweden as an open country, innovative, welcoming, and we use that platform to partner with our American friends and colleagues, and obviously we are very aware that the House is but one area, one scene where we can do this kind of work. So public diplomacy, I think, is a complementary tool to what we are also doing as far as more traditional diplomatic means. And I think we are really able to embrace more of the United States, more of the people of the United States, also by using these more modern tools of public diplomacy.
Today we have a family day at House of Sweden, which is part of Kids Euro Festival. And Sweden's contribution is a musical workshop performance by 3 artists from Sweden and Senegal. We just finished our first performance here today, and the children had a chance to dance, to try an instrument from Senegal called kora, and also some Swedish traditional folk music.
We have a very active outreach program in House of Sweden since October 2006, and we have had no less than 70 seminars, over 100 music performances, and I guess like 70 exhibitions. And the way we do it is we work very closely with American partners, and we do that to ensure that we reach the right target audience, and also that we talk about the right subject matter at the right time. So I guess we're in the business of relationship building more than just communicating. And when we focus on different subjects, we talk about the subject and the substance matter first, instead of talking about Sweden thinks this, Sweden thinks that. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been quite successful in attracting an audience over and over again.
Well, it's a real pleasure to be at the House of Sweden to talk about the economics of the ocean. And one of the things that was probably the most important thing that I've heard over the course of the last day is the power of partnership. And this is where the World Bank sees as a real way for us to change the way that we normally do business and engage in public-private civil society type partnerships to really pair cutting-edge knowledge as well as investment to support developing countries in their demands for healthier oceans.
I think we need to address the ocean issues to a broader audience than just the environmental classic suspects. We need to move outside our own silos and trying to get stakeholders involved that are not, for the obvious reasons, would pay attention to the ocean affairs.
We have the great honor to have with us today actually all of the 9 Americans who have received the Nobel Prize this year. Give them all a big round of applause. It's become a tradition to organize this day in Washington, D.C., when the President of the United States is inviting the laureates of the Nobel Prize from the United States. And we have just actually come from that meeting at the White House, and I can testify that the laureates were duly celebrated by the President in a very warm and pleasant meeting, and it's really a pleasure to see you now here in the House of Sweden.
The embassy prides itself on working closely with the partners, and trade and commerce is of course a very important part of what we do. Art, literature and culture is important in itself, but it's also a complement to our other activities. Here at the Embassy, we're fortunate to work with some of Sweden's greatest artists and curators in bringing Swedish culture to the US.
Stig Dagerman is one of Sweden's iconic writers, and his works have been published in many different languages. Recently, 4 of his novels were translated into American English, and in order to honor Stig Dagerman's authorship, the Swedish Embassy has, together with Stig's daughter Lou Dagerman, initiated a couple of literary events.
Dagerman's stories are so full of life and humor. He can recognize love and the great comic potential in any life.
The fact that we're sitting here suggests to me very strongly the fact that Dagerman is being retranslated in a number of cases suggests to me absolutely the fact that this is a writer who will continue to live and interest us. Right? Most writers disappear. But I think with someone like Dagerman, there is this human quality that we recognize, and that's when writers last.
Food is also a great way to reach out, and it's a great complement to the other activities that we do.
Yeah, so we have 2 chefs, guest chefs from Gothenburg, Hans Borén and Johan Björkman. So together with me, we're preparing a Swedish week. It's lunches and dinner using local produce and also a few ingredients from Sweden. We also did a media event to reach out to the public together with the Swedish Embassy, where we cooked small pieces of tastings of the food that we're preparing during the lunch and dinner. And we also did a luncheon at the Swedish residence with a Swedish ambassador to reach out and spread the word about Swedish cuisine.
Our evening events are very important to us to target specific groups. DC Photo Week is an important partner, and we have hosted presentations with them for several years. This year we had quite an ambitious one with 7 photographers, and we reached 400 or 500 people during one evening.
There's a very special place in Stockholm called Slussen, and that's what you're looking at here. It's built in different layers. It's built in the 30s as an example of Swedish modernism. And I wanted to take a photo of every different angle and part of this place. So it's up to 1,000 photos that have been working together to a big image that kind of includes everything of that place. And first I was drawn to this specific location because of the color, like this green color here, for instance, that was created by the traffic fumes and rust and weather, because this is a place that is really falling apart.
The United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world. Over 7 million Americans live under the supervision of correctional authorities. That is 1 in 33 individuals. This situation is due mainly to the war on drugs. The US also incarcerates more of its minorities than any other country. If you're poor and a person of color, your chance of arrest greatly increases. A black man's chance of going to prison is 1 in 3.
We're also working hard to promote Swedish music. We call this series House of Music, and I guess the biggest arenas I would say would be New York and LA, but also here in DC. I mean, the music scene is changing, and of course then we're focusing on smaller groups that needs a push to reach to the higher levels. Lucia is one of our most appreciated events, and that's when we get a chance to reach out to all the people that we worked with during the year and kind of follow up what we have done. Because we believe that part of what we do and the success behind our public diplomacy program is building relationships and deepening them.
there's a great deal of interest in what's going on in the United States. I think that I haven't met a Swede who is not personally engaged with the US one way or another, who has an own story to tell about his or her relationship to the United States. And we want to reach these people as well, and I think we do so through these social media outlets, and we are working hard to make them more efficient and full of interesting content.